You're listening to the Esoterix Podcast, hosted by Jo and Fioraliz Franco. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, people. How are you today? Very excited to talk to you.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on with you, Jo?
Listen, can we just talk about what's going on in the world right now?
Yes, in the United States world.
In the United States world, where we have an orange infant who is tweeting, "I hate Taylor Swift."
Oh, Jesus.
But can I also say, I was never a Swiftie, ever. I have never even really listened to her music. I don't own any of her music. But this woman, this young woman, is a fucking powerhouse. And I am so impressed with her.
Right? I'm not a Swiftie either, like by any means. Like I can't
No.
even name, I don't know, a few I don't know. Anyway, it
name
doesn't
like one or
matter.
two.
The thing is like I don't believe in shitting on women who have done nothing wrong.
Right.
Like and or just for the sake of doing it, just because they're like a celebrity or whatever doesn't entitle you to, to talk down to them or even make jokes about them. There's this it's funny that you bring this up, because the other day there's this woman that I follow locally, because she ran for like local government, and she posted this quote unquote joke, which to me jokes are supposed to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the day after her endorsement of Kamala Harris, and she had wrote something about along the lines of, before you take whatever Taylor Swift's take is on politics, remember that she's really bad at choosing boyfriends too, or some shit like that. And it was like, so my response was, or maybe they were all the right ones because they produced hit songs. So
right.
And then she was like, well, spoken like a true Swiftie. And I was like, actually, I'm not a Swiftie at all, but I don't believe in disregarding a woman's word on politics just because you don't agree with her personal relationships.
Exactly. Right. And they don't have a problem with her politics, because if any of their right wing, protagonists, we'll call them, had the same opinion but supporting Trump, they would have no problem with it. They don't have a problem with celebrities and sports personalities expressing their opinion unless that opinion is the opposite of theirs. What I'm finding with this right now is that since Kamala Harris became, the presidential nominee, that these people are just being stupid out loud. It is absolutely ridiculous, because they don't care what economists, climatologists, or epidemiologists have to say. They simply refuse to use their own eyes and ears anymore. And I literally am just, at this point, I'm just like, looking at these posts and I'm reading them and I'm like, you're stupid. You're stupid out loud. And I just keep scrolling. And I know people say they don't like to be in division, and we have to listen to other people. We have to be open to other points of view. And it's like, I have to be open to ignorance and stupidity. No, I don't. I don't. So it's getting bad out there, kids.
I think it's worse. I think it's worse here because I call it a complete lack of self-awareness. Like our
Completely.
friends in Michigan understand what it's like to be a blue dot or surrounded by a bunch of red, right? So you guys are in a very special position there, where I feel like your voice and your vote makes a difference. You guys are sitting around a bunch of conservatives, and sometimes you're dealing with a lot of that mess. For me, though, in Southern California, you look up a Southern California electoral map, It's blue. It's a sea of blue. So tell me why we're surrounded by these morons driving around in these lifted trucks carrying a Trump flag where their vote will literally never elect him. Like they just look stupid for fun. Like you look stupid for no reason because
Yeah.
you live in a blue state. And that's what makes me mad. I'm just like, why? Why? What is the point? You're not doing anything. You're not making a difference.
Their political ideologies have become their personality. Michigan
Mm,
has always been traditionally a blue state. They're way more Democratic than Republican.
mhm.
It's those outliers, right? The rural areas, the Upper
Right.
Peninsula, where that whole I don't know, Trumpology comes from, but it's new. It never used to be like that. When I grew up in Michigan, you were never seeing, Bush, we
Right.
love Bush, we love
Right.
Reagan. Now
Yeah,
it's just
it
like,
wasn't that big of a because
no,
you didn't form a personality around it.
right.
That's ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
insane what's going on. But the other thing is too is that he really truly has tapped into that grievance, that the grievance, and you have to, when you start taking the layers, what are people aggrieved about? They're
Yeah.
aggrieved because they're having to pay so much more at the grocery store. That's not a Biden issue, people. That is a
No.
corporate greed, capitalistic issue. I mean,
Yes.
they're aggrieved. Why? Because their dreams aren't being met. Well, because you know what? You got to identify what those dreams are, and you kind of have to go after them. They're not going to be dropped in your lap. They're aggrieved for whatever the instances are of why people have anger and grievance inside of them. They're not
Yeah.
addressing that. They're finding targets. They're finding Haitians in Ohio. Do you know, I saw this post the other day where this Haitian restaurant in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, was swamped with all of these people supporting it because these
Oh,
people
good.
that live there are like, no, they're hardworking. They're here legally. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
They are, even immigrants who are here and doing it the right way are getting the brunt of, MAGA anger.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because of the color of their freaking skin. Because they're not bitching about Sweden or, any of the, light skinned
Yeah.
immigrants that come
Yeah.
here. So I don't understand why people just can't accept this. This is racism. It doesn't make you a racist. It is racism and it needs to be addressed.
Um and I'm going to touch on something that because this is something that I personally live with. The even just the idea of saying like, people that do it the right way, it's like versus what? Like
Versus
versus
what?
not having the opportunity. Like
Right.
as a person, like I am a first generation, I'm a first gen. My parents both came here illegally. They did not do it the right way. My parents crossed that fucking desert to get here. Like, and you know why? It was because we didn't have people. They didn't have other family members to sponsor them to bring them over here. They were the first ones to come over here, and then they sponsored their siblings to come here.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and the other thing too is like even just thinking of like borders. Those are arbitrary, man-made things.
Yes.
Like they are just myths that we believe collectively. Like we collectively believe it to be a thing and therefore it exists as a law or we perceive it. But at the end of the day, migration is a human right. And when the United States is implicitly involved in destabilizing countries like they have done for decades, and especially in Central and Southern America, and throughout the world, like it does not stop. Like you cannot fault people for then wanting to escape the situations that our own government created that then causes people to come, to seek refuge away from the chaos.
We listen. We sound like a couple shock jocks today. Like we're all mad about this, but we have shit to say because this is important. But the other thing too is that I don't care if your parents came here illegally. Look at the beautiful human beings that they are and that they contributed and they started this family and they came here and they got freaking jobs and they pay
Yeah.
taxes. Like I
Yes.
just don't
Yes.
understand why immigration is such an issue. Like if there were no borders, and I'm not saying open borders because I don't want
Right.
people coming at me for open borders, right? But
Right.
what I am
Right.
saying
Right.
is why the hell is it such a fucking problem for people?
But it's
If
because it's a scapegoat. It's all it is. It's a scapegoat. It's just an easy thing to point a finger at and say, that's your problem.
but it's
It's that
only, we don't have a problem. We don't have this problem with fucking Canadians. We don't
right.
have this animosity about Canadian people. Canadians don't want to come to America because, but the point is that it has to do with the color of the immigrant skin. And that's what pisses me off. And I'm not saying, again, I'm saying we just have to start having this conversation. And I don't understand, and I do understand, why people who are so anti, I'm not racist. God damn it. Yes, you are. If you
Yeah.
have a problem for somebody because of the color of their
Yeah,
skin.
and especially when you see interviews where people are like, "Well, have you been affected by the border crisis?" And they're like,
No,
"No."
nothing.
No, because
Nothing.
there isn't anything to be affected
No,
by because it's not hurting you.
no.
It's because Fox News told you that
Yep.
you need to be worried about it, that these
Right.
people are coming to
Well, they're taking
whatever,
our
eat your
jobs and
dogs,
they're,
to eat your dogs and eat your cats or whatever bullshit, and you believed it.
yep.
But at the end of the day, like the people that actually do the thing illegally are the ones that overstay their visas, which means that they came in correctly anyway. So your closed border idea wouldn't work regardless.
They're mad that people are getting assistance. And you know what? So are you. We have a lot of
Well,
socialist programs in place that people take advantage of every
right.
fucking day, but nobody considers
Okay,
it to be socialism.
sure, but how about instead of being mad that people with who are labeled illegal immigrants are receiving certain benefits or whatever that you perceive they're receiving, how about you be mad that your government doesn't have the same things for you? Like
Thank you.
I have that problem here in California, because in California, Governor Newsom passed a bill where, yes, it gives health care to illegal immigrants, and my instant reaction wasn't, oh, what the fuck, why them? It's like, okay, how about the rest of us? Hello. Like, I'm just saying, like, and that's not to say that, take away
No.
from them. That's to say, like, you clearly have enough money. Like, we know we're the fourth largest economy. Like, where's our healthcare? Hello.
And so in that instance, we can put ourselves in those shoes and say, wait a minute, who's getting something that I'm not getting and why?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Living in Portland, there are so many programs for the houseless. There are so many advantages that they get, and they don't take advantage of them because there are also restrictions in place. In order to take advantage of this, you cannot
Yes.
be on drugs, right? Or do all
Right.
these things. And so
Yes.
am I sitting here going, wait a minute, how come they get, reduced rent, and how come they get, two, three, $400 in food, on a little card? And I'm sitting here and I'm going, I'm not on drugs and I have a job and I, have all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay and human to be like, why do they have more in their bowl than I have? That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But when you then turn around and place those sort of angry, disgruntled biases on a whole culture or ideology,
Yeah.
it's then
And
you can't, that's not good then.
And as a whole, too, the other thing is the amount of money that our taxes actually pay into social welfare
It's
programs. It's
very
something
low.
like, I know in California, it's something like $34, $36 a year.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's very
I,
low.
I don't care.
No.
Yes, go ahead, take it. Like, if that means
Right.
that pregnant women can get free, a certain amount of free food and whatever else they need, then so be it. You know what? I would rather that money go towards that
Yep.
than the billions that's going to bomb innocent women and children in another fucking country.
Dude, can we talk about that too? I'm going to label this episode Jo and Fee Talk Politics. So that, seriously, so people
Yeah.
know. So here's the thing. I said this to one of our friends. I said, I too support Israel's right to protect themselves, to defend themselves. But God damn it, we need to stop giving them money if they continue to use that right in ways that are obliterating a whole entire, sort of people.
How about we can
Stop giving
respect
them
the right
money.
Yeah, well, how about we can respect their right to defend themselves, but we don't have to fucking fund it.
We don't have to fund it, right? And so, but here's the other thing too. This is a policy, our funding it is a policy that's been in place for quite a while. They're one of our allies. This in no way falls in any amount on the shoulders of Kamala Harris. She didn't decide it.
No,
She didn't make it up.
she didn't start it.
She didn't start it. And God damn it, maybe when she's president, she can stop it. But until then, when you place that blame on her and her policies, then you know what? You're placing it wrongly.
And at least
it's
so
not her fault.
And I will say though that at least with her, that is a politician that you can put pressure on and expect some kind of reaction or some kind of response or some kind of change. We would hope for that. Whereas with Trump, absolutely the fuck not.
You know, he
Like
doesn't give a
that,
shit.
he'll just go over there and just try to be the king of fucking Israel or whatever. He'll try.
The king of the dummies.
Yeah, he'll just go over there and christen some new fucking Trump building on the fucking Gaza Strip. Like I would not be surprised. Like that would be 100% some shit he would do. So I don't get the dichotomy there. Yeah, and ultimately too, the thing, and I think I've said this before already on the podcast, is that the United States is this is a colonizer entity, guys. Like what did we expect? Yes, the colonizer is going to side with the side of the colonizer. You want to be you want us to be the radical standout. Like I think you expect too much from this fucking country at this point.
Yes, regardless, woman or no. And I
No.
will agree. She's a waffler. Now, it's not in a way that is obvious, but as an empath, when she gets questioned in interviews about her support of Israel, you can feel it, you can see it. She gets very uncomfortable. She doesn't make eye contact. She loses her confidence and she gets a little bit weird. And what I read from that as an intuitive is she doesn't like the policy any fucking more than you or I do, but she has got to support the current policy. She is the vice president of the United States. Her job is to support the current president's policies. End of story. She cannot go out and say, Joe Biden's policy to support Israel sucks and I'm going to change it. She cannot do that.
No.
And if you listen to her and watch her body language and you read her energy when she's asked about that in politics, you will see the truth, how she feels about it. I have absolute zero, well, I shouldn't say that. I have 100% faith in the fact that once she is in place, that shit will stop. She's not going to keep it. She's not going to keep it going. Listen, 100% faith. My gut tells me she will make a change when she has the ability and the power. And the power is in her hands to make that change. Until then, she's got to support
what it is. Yeah, as
what
it
it
is. Yeah, because that's also, the powers that be are also how she got the nomination in the first place. So is she going to go and shit on them immediately? No. You gotta, you just gotta get in office first. Did you see? I posted this, or I shared a post on our Esoterix Instagram a few days ago, and it was talking about the astrology between the two.
Yes.
And the connections. And the one thing that stood out to me was it says about the unusually strong aspects of her chart with America's chart.
Yep.
And that, as one astrologer said about her, that she's born to dismantle the patriarchy.
Yep. She is. And so I just think that we can be disappointed in some of her answers. But we also, as intuitives, owe it to her to really give her the benefit of the doubt and read into her energy. Pay attention. Pull up old interviews. Specifically, when she's asked about Israel, you will see it with your own eyes. She's not comfortable with it, but she has no other choice but to agree with it right now. Once she's in power, then I believe that we will see her true nature. Look at everything that she's done. She does have a record at the border, and yes, she is accused of, putting people in jail, or black men in jail. She's accused of all these things. They broke the fucking law. What?
Yeah. Also, the other thing though too is like, people's politics and their morals and their values change and evolve.
Yes, they do.
So who she was like when she wrote her book some 20 years ago is likely like not who she 100% is today. Like people change, our views change. Even think of us as a generation 20, 30 years ago socially, it's different. There's the whole the way that we saw like the war on drugs and all that shit, how that didn't pan out, that did not work, all that. So we try things and we get to the point where like, oh well, that was the wrong turn, and then we collectively agree we got to try it somewhere different. But my point with all of this would be to say is like, this is why elected officials, we are electing them to do a job and we have to hold them accountable. They are not our fucking cult leader. They are not the end all be all that gets to come in and like what all of a sudden just like wave a wand and our lives are just magical and everything is perfect. No, it doesn't work like that.
It
Like
doesn't work like that.
we're hiring this person to do a job and we hope that they do it well, and we are there to hold them accountable. And that's really ultimately my big problem with Trump, because
He's
with
not
that
being held
motherfucker,
accountable.
absolutely not. There is no accountability.
Nope.
That guy's just running rampant, doing whatever the hell he
He'd do
wants.
whatever he wants.
And for
Yep.
as much as like everyone's people who are out there talking about voting on policy, I'm sure I lost a friend or two after the debate on on Facebook, because somebody was like, I don't like either of them. And then I'm looking in the comments, and the comments like, that's why I'm voting on policy and blah blah blah. I'm like, he couldn't name a single policy. He said about a concept of a policy. What the fuck is
It's
that?
ridiculous. And then there's these people who are like, I'm a single issue voter. Are you really? Are you really that stupid?
Are you that sucked in? Like, are you sucked in that this is like we're being played at that point? Like,
Yep.
but to have to vote for a president on a single policy, like, why can't you just vote for bodily autonomy? Like, you do the same way that these people don't want their guns taken away. It's like, then I don't want the right to do what I want with my body to be taken away. Like, what is
Nope.
the difference?
Nope. It's true. And okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about is JD Vance, right? Okay, so he's problematic, but there's this really interesting conspiracy theory out there. And
Oh.
it is that he is a plant to help Trump lose. And I'm like, listen, JD Vance is a douche, right? Or he's basically being like clown trash. He's really good at being a clown trash right now. But if he is, right, like I totally believed that Kellyanne Conway was on his administration for purposes that were opposite of what her role was, because she's married to George Conway, who is like one of the founders, I believe, of the organization that's anti-Trump, one of the many. Anyway, JD Vance, there's this conspiracy theory out there that he's in place to really do damage to Trump's campaign, and he's doing a great job. But I don't know, because he's married to an Indian woman or a Muslim. I'm not sure.
It's an Indian woman. Mm-hmm.
And in the past he was very vocal about Trump, very outspoken, anti-Trump. How do you make a 180 like that? He's either being bought off.
Because you're promised power. That's
He's
all.
being bought
It's
off.
just because you have no integrity.
Yep.
I don't. You know how I feel about conspiracy theories. I think they're fucking wishful thinking, and if it's anything related to people that believe in conspiracy theories, I don't want anything to do with
This
it.
is how you believe. I believe in the cabal, and I believe in the other one too. know I do.
We believe in secret societies. Like they've shown themselves to be true. But that's not a conspiracy theory,
No,
Joe.
I
Those are
believe
out
in the
there. No,
Illuminati.
they're there. They're there. I mean, dude, are they actually in power? I don't think so. But they
JD Vance is a
exist.
member of the Illuminati.
Oh God, is the eyeliner part of the initiation?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
One of these days I will be vindicated and you will owe me an apology.
he's just so cringy.
Oh,
He's
he's gross.
just you
He's
can
gross.
tell
He's an
so
idiot.
he's so uncomfortable in himself. He's
He's
so
awkward.
uncomfortable in his own body, and it just comes through every single time. Like when he's being interviewed, when he interacts with the person, the secondhand cringe. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't.
And there's nothing wrong with being awkward. I mean, I get awkward sometimes and I'm like, this is weird. I want out.
No, but then that's why we're not politicians either, right?
Right.
Like I'm not going
No.
out there and trying to like talk to people in a donut shop and then I don't know how to talk to people of color. I forgot.
I guess the whole point for this entire rant started with Taylor Swift and this, idiot making a infantile 5-year-old. I hate Taylor Swift. We also over the last couple of days, I mean, there's been another assassination attempt on him, and I'm like, these people need to quit missing. they're terrible.
They keep sending the stormtroopers out.
They keep sending in like the C team, the D team, right? And then somebody was like,
there's my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is that they're not real assassination attempts. It's just a way to rear up more publicity for him. And that's all it's doing.
Dude, the news cycle today, I turned it on this morning just to see what was going on. And it was all Trump. And I'm just like, oh my God, this guy, I hate him.
That was exactly the point. It was exactly the point.
To take it away from Kamala Harris.
From anything else. And it's just to talk about him and yet nothing happened to him. So that's why that's my conspiracy theory. If you ask me.
If anybody on here is an MSNBC viewer, there was an MSNBC live episode that if you go to the website, I'm sure you can watch it on, on demand. But it was all of the anchors that kind of got together, and it was just this fun, cool thing, right? So one of my favorite analysts for MSNBC is Claire McCaskill, and she was a senator, a member of Congress, I believe, for I don't know what state, but anyway, she's like an older white lady, and she's just kind of got this funny, I like her view on things. And one of the things, or maybe it was somebody else, maybe it was Jen Psaki. Anyway, they were talking about the October surprise.
Oh, yeah.
And this person, so it was either Claire or Jen, was like listing all of the past October surprises. And I was really like interested. I'm like, oh my God, who knew, right? We remember these quote unquote scandals, but it's just
I know
weird.
the fucking what was the stupid name? The stupid FBI guy, or was it FBI?
James Comey.
James fucking Comey. Yeah, thanks,
with Hillary. Yeah. There was the tape, the pussy grabbing tape. What was that called? The Access Hollywood tape. There was like a couple that the Dan Quayle, or was it anyway, Bush had one, and I believe that there was one that happened to the opponent of Reagan, and then Reagan was actually elected. So anyway, it was really fascinating to hear about these October surprises. So I'm going to literally say that one of my biggest fears is that these douchebags are going to come up with something that is going to be a negative October surprise for Kamala Harris. But I'm sitting there going, well, what could it be? You know what I mean? Like, who knows, right? But I'm going to just send a lot of really good thoughts her way about that, because we all have, maybe things that would embarrass us. But when you look at with all of the things that this awful human being Trump has done and said and experienced, and that people just let it go. I blame the media. Listen, I'm not one of those, the mainstream media is this, right? I think that there are a lot of true journalists with a lot of integrity that are trying to do their jobs, and people just keep calling them the mainstream media. And clumping them in with these people that, do this for a living for money. But there are a lot of journalists with integrity out there. But these people, the journalists, the mainstream media, they're not holding Trump accountable. So it's back to there's no accountability with him.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody else does anything and they're on it in a minute like this. And it's like, that's got to stop. They've
Yeah.
got to start holding him accountable and making a big freaking deal about it. For instance, during the debate, that asshole said, he said, well, I read that you put out. Where is the outrage about that? Where is the outrage about that? He said it. He said, I heard that you put out, and he said, I heard that you are not black. And he said it, everybody heard it, but nobody paid any attention to it. I was like, oh my God, he just said, I heard you put out. Are you
What?
kidding me? Yes. If you look back and you re-listen to that part of the debate where they're talking about her being black or whatever, when the debate moderator asked him about it, he said, I heard you put out and I heard that you are not black. But everybody focused on the not black and they
Wow.
completely ignored. And I'm like, what the fuck? How does this guy get to just get away with saying the shit he does? Zero accountability. Zero accountability. And the media completely glossed over it. If that were me, that would have been the biggest story. Trump tells the vice president of the United States that he heard she put out.
Yeah, I don't know how that didn't get it's you know what it is? It's just it's our attention spans are so short and every other thing that comes out of his mouth is just a load of garbage. So yeah. And I want where was the energy that we had for telling Biden to go and retire and then he had dementia and all the other shit. Where's that energy for Trump? Because he's right there, if not worse. I don't
know.
what yeah.
Anyway, so thank you, listeners, for listening to our
This has been
rant,
politics talks with Esoterix.
political rant. And you know how we feel, and if you've
Yeah.
listened thus far, we appreciate you. If not, we understand.
Yeah. And again, going back to that post that I shared, the good news with all of this is that Harris's Pluto squares Trump's Uranus. And so that's to say that she's uniquely suited for the task of clamping down on his political style. So and that's exactly what happened, right? At the debates. Like she knew exactly how to bait him, and he just went and took the bait. So that was just chef's kiss for
I
me.
have to say, the first couple minutes, I was like, oh, Lord. Oh, I was like, she's not doing good. She's not doing good. And then as soon as she started baiting him about his
As soon as she mentioned
Mhm.
crowd sizes, that was all it
That
took.
was it. It was all
Yeah.
over. I was like, there you go, girl. There you go. So honestly, that should have been a really good example, or that was a really good example of how she will be able to hold her own against any of the other, dictators out there in the world. They're not going to intimidate her. She's not going to be intimidated by any of these people, especially, you know,
No,
some,
not a career prosecutor. Like
no.
have you met a career prosecutor? Have you not watched Law and Order? Come on, guys.
Mhm. Yes. So I have hopes. Yeah.
I do too, but also remember that we have to also follow our local elections matter just as much if not more. They're the ones that
Yes.
actually affect our day-to-day and our how much taxes we pay, where our tax money is allocated to, uh new construction going on in our neighborhoods, whether that's allotted to, like here in Southern California we have a big problem with warehouses being built all over the fucking place.
Everywhere.
And it's because we aren't involved enough and we're not paying attention enough on the local level, and all of these things happen right under our noses. So yes, as much as the national politics matter, the local stuff matters just as much, if not more. So pay attention to that, and that's really where the change starts for anyone who feels disenchanted with the system at this point. I would say start there. Start there. If you feel like there it doesn't make a change, like your vote doesn't matter, like nothing's ever going to change, I would say that's where the change happens locally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that all ties back to, as we move into Pluto and Aquarius, it's going to be, the community caring about each other, but it's also going to be about, we've got to start holding people accountable. And the only people, some of these politicians are not going to hold their own accountable. And so it's got to be the people saying and rising up together collectively and saying, no, we're not, this is not what we voted for. This is not what we elected. We want some accountability. We want some, outcomes or some consequences. And people are just going to have to start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Or else nothing's going to change. So it is interesting. I'm gonna I'm hoping that I'm still here in 20 years so I can look back and go, wow, look at everything that we've accomplished and that has changed. But it's going to be a long and it's going to be an interesting phase of life.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, and now we're cutting in with Peggy for an astro update on the energy of October.
All right. Hello. Happy
Hi,
October.
Peggy.
Hi. I guess it's almost, when this goes out, it'll almost be October, right? We'll be close.
Yes.
So again, last time I was on, I talked about how, I always love every month. I am the optimist. And of course that's going to happen again in October.
Good.
October looks so interesting to me. And I always look for a theme. I pull out a theme every month. And so the theme that I have found in October is working out a balance between that version of ourselves that exists like as an individual and the version that exists as part of a group or part of a couple. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Partnership.
Yeah, yes. So kind of the balance of those two. So this really is like reconciling being that part of us that isn't us, that is part of an us or part of a we, and the part, that wants to be accommodating to others, and the part that wants to create harmony and act as one part of that bigger whole, and balancing that with our need for a sense of personal power. So asserting who we are as an individual and feeling that sense of autonomy and owning our own identity. So that is really what I'm seeing from these placements for October.
Okay. Well, I celebrate my birthday in October, so this is all good things.
Good. That's fantastic.
Yay.
And happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Actually.
So, okay. So let's break down. Okay. So wait, are you Libra or are you a Scorpio?
I'm a Libra. I'm October 4th, so I'm a early October.
Okay, thanks. I wanted to go on, but then I was like, I can't go on because I have to know. So.
I want to know.
You gotta know.
Yeah,
people need to know.
Yes.
People need to know to put that in their calendar and wish her happy birthday.
That is exactly right. Okay, so let's break down this October and start with our moons of the month. So we have our new moon coming right up on October 2nd in the sign of Libra. All right.
Yay.
So yay for you. And this is not just a new moon, it is a solar eclipse. So we've got, in the middle of last month, when this tapes in the middle of September, we had that lunar eclipse, and now we'll be experiencing a solar eclipse. So, and, for some reason, I just had this thought that eclipses always kind of make me think of video games, or actually specifically make me think of how I play video games, because I'm like terrible with them. So I'll be playing with my kids, and I don't know, you probably are all really good or something, but like anytime we're playing a racing game, I'm the one that's like so far off the track and I don't even know how I got there, And is that just me, or
no? It's not
like
just
walking
you.
into the wall. You know,
right? No, you know what it is, because I know for me, like I'm like a Super Nintendo, 90s kid person. So I'm like 4 buttons and like the arrow up and down and side to side, right? And then I try to play with my son, and he's got all these buttons and like double joysticks. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And yes, I'm you. I am crashing up against the wall. I have no idea what I'm doing.
How did they get these skills? I do not understand how one gets good at this, but I'm not. So I'm always like, then like the cloud, there's like always a little cloud or something that has to come and like pick up your car. and put it in, like, I'm very much in last place, but like at least I'm on the track.
You fall
now.
off the cliff.
Yeah. The kids are like doing something else by the time I get done. But that is,
Right.
yeah, that is me playing video games. And that made me think of eclipses, because it's like you're going in a direction always. You're always going in a direction, but sometimes you get in the wrong direction and you're running into the wall, right? Or you're walking into the wall. So the eclipse is kind of like that little cloud that's like do and put you back on the track. So that is the kind of the energy of the eclipse in my, how I see it. So pointing you in the right direction.
I love this analogy.
Good. And I'm glad I'm not alone in being absolutely horrible at all things video
Mario
games.
Kart.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a freestanding video game centipede type arcade game girl. So don't try to throw something in my hands. I'm like, no, what is this?
Don't
It's
give me
tech.
14 buttons.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no. Exactly. So we will have this eclipse, this little cloud eclipse, on the 2nd, and that will be in the sign of Libra. So pleasant Libra, pleasant Libra. And every time I think about Libra, I always think everybody loves a Libra. That's what comes into my head. Everybody loves Libra, right? And obviously, right, for Fioraliz, everybody loves Libra. But this sign is just built to be so likable. It wants to please everyone. And, I have a Libra that's close to me in my life, totally embodies this, just always wants everyone to be happy. But this is where we find our new moon and our solar eclipse specifically for October. So this is the energy of building partnerships. So new feelings of diplomacy, and that's getting along with others. That's trying to see from other people's perspectives, highlighting the similarities with people more than our differences. So Libra, is the scales. And so rather than thinking everything has to be this or that, it's seeing those great parts of life and how they can all exist at the same time. So this solar eclipse is really asking us to open our minds a bit to how other people see things, see through other people's eyes, or ask ourselves, what would it be like to walk in their shoes? Try to find solutions that benefit the masses instead of just our own selves and our own interests. And it's asking us to conduct ourselves in a way that's respectful. So really that pleasant Libra energy for our new moon.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I love to hear that.
There is something about Libra that I really like, and it makes me feel happy for this October. I feel like we need a breath of fresh air right now. So
yeah,
hopefully it will bring us that.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to pull out their chart while listening to this as well, the eclipse is actually going to be happening at 10 degrees of Libra. So if you happen to have anything in your chart big that's at either 10 degrees Libra, Aries, Cancercorn, or I just said Cancercorn.
I like that. Cancercorn.
Just melded
Candy corn.
Cancer or Capricorn, you might feel it a little bit more, than the rest of us. But yeah.
So say that again. What signs are going to feel it most strongly?
So it'll be at 10 degrees. So if anybody has anything big at 10 degrees going on in Libra or Aries, Cancer, or Capricorn, those will kind of be the hot spots around the chart. That if you have something big there, you just might happen to feel it a little bit more. So kind of pay attention to yourself and see what happens for you. So another interesting, check out your chart. Everybody's like, pause. This is a moment to pause, right? And get your chart.
Yeah, go get your chart.
Yeah, we'll pause for a minute. Just kidding. Okay, so
I don't have anything. I don't have anything at 10 degrees.
I didn't either. And then I looked in this month, and here I did all this about our eclipse last month. And was like, oh, I didn't even look at my own chart, and mine's smack dab, like almost to the degree. I have like a stellium with my sun. I was like, okay, well, probably should have been paying attention to that. But yes, this in October, it will be Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, 10 degrees specifically. So
my sun is 11 degrees in Libra.
Okay. So this will be kind of like an extra strength solar eclipse for you, I feel like. Which could be great. That could be great.
I'm ready for great.
Yeah, that could be fantastic.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So this eclipse, I think another thing that's interesting about this Libran eclipse is that it's square Mars. So this adds kind of another layer of interest because our full moon, let's transition to our other moon of the month, which is our full moon, is actually in the sign of Aries on October 17th. And of course, Aries is ruled by Mars. So that just adds another layer here for us of interest, of complexity. So yes, we have this Aries full moon, and full moons are about closing doors on things, rethinking, reevaluating, endings. So in Aries, we're really looking at reevaluating how we're making room for our own identity in our own lives. So rethinking if we're considering our own needs and wants enough, are we burying our heads in the sand about something when we really should be dealing with it, head on, not hiding from it? Where do we need to take more action? Where do we need to be more proactive? So that is more like the flavor at the end of the month.
No, and then when it's sitting in Mars, that's its home planet, correct? Aries' home, like that's where it's dignified.
Yeah. Yep. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and so it's also going to be square this Aries full moon. And actually, Pluto is also going to square this full moon. So we have two heavy hitters. We have two kind of big power players in the chart that are going to be squaring this full moon in Aries.
Got it.
I'm actually excited for that. Now, isn't a square provides structure, right? A square provides strength.
It can, yes. I mean, of course, everything has its spectrum. It absolutely can. It's two, anytime that you have an aspect, no matter what it is, the two want to integrate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this, it's what is the feeling of this relationship? How do they want to integrate? And actually, I'm kind of happy that it's a square here between these players, because it's a little bit tense, possibly a little bit stifled, which I think could actually be a good thing to have a little bit of stifled energy. They still want to work together, or, with the square, there might be some tension, but they need to integrate. That's what I meant to say. But maybe in a more stifled energy way, because I would actually be more concerned about it. Like, how is this going to go if it was a harmonious angle between Pluto and Mars and this Aries full moon? Because that could feel a lot different than a square. That would be a harmonious, if it was like a grand trine or something between Pluto and Mars and this Aries, full moon, that would be like Pluto and Mars gone wild, like cheering on this already really forceful Aries full moon. But I feel like Mars' aggression and Pluto's kind of power hungry tendencies could be a little bit suppressed, possibly with a square more, a little bit more contained by this tense square. So maybe that's good. Maybe that's just my optimistic self trying to be like, oh, how is this good? But I think it might. I honestly would be more worried if it was like, harmonious energy flowing between the two. But what do you all think?
I think it's good because an eclipse, the purpose is to sort of redirect us, even if it's someplace that we don't want to go, right? Like you said, like get us back on track. But that's also what Pluto does. Pluto is there to say, okay, you're heading in the wrong direction. You got to get back on track. It's time to transform. And then Mars is the one that says, but you got to like actually move your butt, right? You got to do it. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not afraid of this. Honestly, though, I'm a Capricorn. I live on my Pluto line. Like, I have a personal relationship with, I don't know, Saturn. Crap.
Yeah. You're a Saturn ruled sign.
Jesus. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just do this. Let's do this. Let's get this done with. I'm tired. Can we just move into Pluto and Aquarius, please, and close out this 16-year
like,
transit?
rip the Band-Aids off. Let's just go.
Oh my God.
Rip off the Band-Aids.
Yeah, so. Yes.
No. Yeah. So I'm hoping this will be a good thing. I'm hoping this will be a good balance. I'm always looking for how can we balance out the month. So those are our two ends of the spectrum, our two opposing energies that will be working on us this month. We have that Libra solar eclipse, asking us to find new ways to be part of a whole and seeing our similarities more than our differences. And then we have this powerful Aries full moon in the middle of the month. asking us to kind of close the doors on the way we're being too people pleasing, how we aren't stepping into our personal power. So that's the balance that we're looking for this month.
Okay.
So,
okay, I have one more question. So my North node is in Aries and my South node is in Libra. And so with that, with that coming into play, those, my question, I guess, is, as this Aries Libra phase, eclipse phase sort of, phases out, are we going to be done with those themes? Can I tell that to go away?
Are you ready to let go of those, Jo? Excuse me. Are you ready for some new themes? I have a feeling that you're ready for some new themes.
Yes.
I'm getting the sense. Yeah.
It doesn't take a psychic.
I would think once you've done, there has to be a lot of work going on for you right now with all these repeated themes.
Yep.
So hopefully you will get that work done and be able to move on to, fresh waters.
Yes. Yay. Okay.
So
that was a question, I guess.
So I want to do a quick rundown of each sign. So where the new moon, that solar eclipse, and the full moon could impact everyone the most. So with Aries, we have the solar eclipse with these Libran themes of partnership and compromise and harmony, harmony building. That'll be a bit extra spicy for Aries because that solar eclipse lands in their 7th house of partnerships, best friends, and trust. So really heavy relationship themes going on for Aries at the beginning of the month. And because Aries is hosting that full moon, the full moon will also be a little bit extra strength for Aries as well. So heavy on the themes of sense of identity and personal power and asserting oneself. So for Aries, that balance between those two moons might feel a little bit more like precarious, a little bit more whiplash. For Taurus, the solar eclipse could, Aries might be feeling it a little extra this month. For Taurus, that Libra solar eclipse could affect you more in areas of life that deal with those adulting parts. So your routines, your habits, your health, going to work. And, Taurus already loves the company of others anyway. So, add in Libra's appreciation of partnerships. And you might be quite social this month, extra social, especially at work.
Okay.
And the Aries full moon may influence you more in parts of life that have to do with seeking solitude, seeking a feeling of connection and reflecting inward. And even with those things, it could be stuck down in your subconscious. So kind of being brave enough to look at what's in there. And if you have your nodes on any of that axis too, that will be a little bit extra for you as well on the diving deep into your subconscious and what's hiding in there. For Gemini, the solar eclipse in Libra could hit you the most in the more lighthearted parts of life, which is going to be refreshing. So, and this is with Libra themes. So, your romantic life maybe, but it could also be how you express your creative self, how you just kick back and have a good time. So really lighthearted for Geminis at the beginning of the month. And the Aries full moon could affect you most when it comes to your social groups. So finding your personal power, right? But within the social group, that finding that right dynamic between the two. For Cancer, the Libra solar eclipse could bring up extra feelings of sentimentality. It could be heavier on the nurturing instincts even for you than even normal, right? It is very normal to feel a lot of nurturing if you're a Cancer, but even extra because it lands in your 4th house of home and family. So Cancer's own house. And with Libra's desire to please others, you can imagine how this feeling could extend itself to whoever in life you belong to, or you feel like you belong to and belongs to you. And when it comes to the Aries full moon, you're already dealing with Mars sitting in Cancer. So Mars is currently sitting in Cancer anyway. So you're already dealing with that. But now this is squaring this full moon. So pay extra attention to your frustration levels. Maybe wait a second before responding in anger. Take a breath, before you respond, perhaps. But this full moon could influence you most in areas that have to do with your career, your biggest goals, your public image. So, especially at work, take a breath toward the middle end of the month before you respond. For Leos, this Libra and solar eclipse could shape some especially charming conversation, on your part. So already charming Leos. But strategic thinking could also be in the forecast for Leos, because this eclipse will be affecting parts of life that have to do with communication and knowledge. So learning, teaching, public speaking, and all that could be especially, great for Leo at the beginning of the month. And then the Aries full moon could make the conditions right for revisions and rethinking parts of life that have to do with being open-minded. So learning about what other people believe, broadening your worldview, traveling to different places, speaking with new people. That could be in the forecast for Leo.
Okay.
Virgos will experience this solar eclipse in the parts of life that have to do with value specifically. So how they value themselves, what they value in life. This might be a really good time for Virgos to dig out a bit more self-appreciation at the beginning of October. And the Aries full moon could have Virgo thinking about their sense of control in life. So especially with this fiery Aries full moon squaring Pluto, this could have you really rethinking your current feelings when it comes to personal power and control, and what you are comfortable with when it comes to those. And then we have Libra. So you'll be hosting the solar eclipse at the beginning of the month. So these themes of harmony and diplomacy could be extra strong. And this eclipse really will be doubling down on your own strong Libran energy and the areas in your life that have to do with your sense of identity and autonomy. And with the Aries full moon, the themes in your life that encompass like your closest committed relationships could be the most impacted. Okay, Scorpio. For Scorpio, the Libra eclipse could have you diving deep into yourself. So it could have you feeling tension between a desire to be in the company of others and also seeking solitude. So you could kind of feel a tug of war with that. And there may be some time needed to sit in silence and just look inside of yourself. But the Aries new moon could be a little bit less heavy for you, which would be great. And it could affect the areas of your life that have to do with your day-to-day habits, your routines, taking care of what you need to take care of to keep life moving. Things like your health, your job, the important things, but the more mechanical parts of life. So, it's still important, but a lot less heavy than you might be dealing with at the beginning of the month. For Sagittarius, yes, Sagittarius, the beginning of the month could be especially social for Sagittarius, with the already socially gifted Libra eclipse influencing their parts of life that have to do with friends, groups, clubs, who they affiliate themselves with. And at the end of the month, it might feel light as well. So with the Aries full moon affecting the parts of their life that have to do with just having a good time, just enjoying life, going on fun dates, being frivolous, being fun. So really, we're looking at a really good time for Sagittarius in October. They're going to have a good time, I think. Yes. On
Good
to
times. I'm a Sagittarius rising, so I actually felt like that was more like appropriate than just the regular Libra. Yeah, that made sense. As I already have a lot of friend stuff planned in October, so that's cool.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think you're going to have a good time. And, it looks like that will go well. Okay, for Capricorn, I feel like this will be a really good time for Capricorn to do something within their career or toward their big goal, where social graces especially would really help. Those things like rubbing elbows with people in the industry, or like hobnobbing with the boss at the fancy gala, those kinds of things. Because this charming Libra eclipse will be more influential to Capricorn's aspirations in life, how they want the public to see them, what they want to achieve. And the Aries full moon has a much different tone for Capricorn, as it will still be hosting Pluto for a few more days. So Capricorn will still be hosting Pluto for a few more days when this full moon happens. And Pluto will square, of course, this full moon. So, and this is happening in the house of home and family. So themes of personal power within the family, that could hit Capricorn a little bit stronger.
Okay.
The Libra eclipse will affect Aquarians most in the part of life that have to do with broadening their perspective on life. So seeking out new experiences that add to their worldly knowledge and wisdom. With Libra shaping this moon, maybe this could be talking to people different than yourself. Just like seeking out people that don't think like you, that could be something that, if you have your sun or, rising sign in Aquarius, you might be drawn to that. And the most assertive Aries, this very assertive Aries full moon could influence parts of life for Aquarius that has to do with siblings, non-parental relatives, or communication. So it's hitting kind of one of those mixed bag houses where there's a lot of different kinds of symbolism there. So with Aries shaping this new moon, asserting yourself is great, especially when we're talking about with siblings, perhaps. It could be cousins, depending on what your family structure is like. But just communication with anyone in general. For Aquarius at the end of the month, asserting yourself is great, but these conditions also make it really easy for those angry outbursts. So definitely watch yourself. Watch yourself the end of October for that, for sure.
And watch out, Aqua.
Yeah.
Don't fight with your siblings on Halloween, okay? Aquarius.
That is fantastic advice, actually. Fantastic advice. It fists might come out. Like, you don't know. Keep it under control, right? Keep it under control. All right. And last but not least, we have Pisces. So the eclipse in Libra could have the most influence on the parts of your life that have to do with intimacy. So your relationship with vulnerability, how you deal with the controllables and the uncontrollables in life. And, for Pisces is kind of like okay with dealing with the uncontrollables. So, but that might be something that you need to take another look at your boundaries, take another look at, what you feel comfortable with or not. And the Aries full moon could give you a boost of courage when it comes to your sense of self-worth, and also how you deal with your money and resources. So that is the rundown for October.
Very cool.
Yes, thank you so much. I love that. I have a question. So as you go through each of these, obviously these horoscopes are for either sun or rising signs, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But let's say, like, for instance, when you were going through Pisces, like my Pisces is in Chiron, or I have Chiron in Pisces.
Okay.
So would what you just said about Pisces also relate to anything going on for me in Chiron? Or is that not how it works?
I think, that could be a question for someone who is much more like a master astrologer. If I were to kind of put my 2 cents on that, I would think it would have to do with how strong a planet is in your chart, kind of how influential a planet is for you would always make a difference.
Okay.
I'm sure it affects something, right? Because everything is connected. Everything means something. So I'm sure it means something. And I feel like, if it's your chart ruler, or if it's, has a placement in your chart that has a little higher importance than, the rest of the planets, I wouldn't see why not. But that is, of course, my limited view on that, as not being a master astrologer at all. So, but no, that is a really good question, and something to think about, and something to really observe within, observe what happens to you and how you feel at those times.
I would be inclined to say, since my stupid Chiron is stupid Pisces at stupid 29 degrees, it probably is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. or that any Pisces lunations would possibly affect my Chiron wound.
Yeah. I mean, I know that everything affects everything, right? We're in, it's a system. Yeah. So any change affects everything else. It's just a question of to what degree. So it absolutely could, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy. Thanks. Yay. These are fun. Do you have anything to announce? Do you have any classes or anything to announce to our listeners?
Well, I have something big I'm working on, so I'm not ready. I'm working really hard on it. Not ready yet, but I do have a great resource if people are wanting to learn more about their birth chart, finally be able to read your birth chart and use it as a tool. Like, how do I dip my toe in this? How do I start? I have a great free resource. It's called the Birth Chart Basics Handbook. And if you go to my homepage at thehappymystics.com, you can find a link for it there.
And we'll link it in the show notes as well.
Thanks.
Yep. It's the Birth Chart Basics.
Got it. Yeah, so you guys can find it in the show notes on today's episode as well.
Yeah, I'll link it in there. All right, Peggy. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's always so fun to have you on.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I love this, and I hope everybody has a great October.
Thank you.
So enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share on your stories, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can do so on Spotify now. This helps our podcast grow. And if we grow, that means the ability to do this work grows as well.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, political, and don't let anyone tell you what to do. Except.
Bye. Oh, except. No, don't let anyone tell you what to do, especially a politician.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.